Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. We're coming to you live from Mainnet 2023 in New York City. Joining me for this segment, we have Paul Grewal, Chief Legal Officer and Corporate Secretary for Coinbase, to discuss why momentum is building for regulated and responsible use of cryptocurrencies. Paul, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to TradeTalks.
Thanks for having me, Jill.
This seems to be a key topic here this year at Mainnet and in the industry in general. 83% of G20 major financial hubs have some sort of framework, but we don't have one necessarily in the US. Why are we behind?
We don't have one yet here in the United States, but we desperately need one. I think one of the reasons why we have struggled here in the US to adopt a registration framework and clear regulations for crypto and digital assets more generally is that we have a fundamental hostility in certain parts of our federal government towards the industry as a whole. It's unfortunate, particularly as millions and millions of Americans have used and adopted digital assets in their own lives, both financial and non-financial, and yet I'm ultimately optimistic. I think that we're seeing real progress in the Congress with legislation moving, and we're seeing courts step in where there has been, I think, a vacuum or an absence on the part of the regulators in order to create the clarity we all need.
Well, part of the challenge is regulation by enforcement, and with that you lose competitiveness within the space. What is it, 68% of blockchain jobs are now in Europe?
Yes, you're seeing, I think, a real globalization happening in crypto that in other industries took decades and is taking place here in years and even months. I think a real question for the United States is going to be, do we want to be a part of that future? Do we want to have those millions of developer and non-developer jobs in Web3 and digital assets here in the US? Or do we want to cede that to other countries that are willing to adopt sensible rules that, yes, protect investors, protect consumers, but also promote innovation?
What's Coinbase doing for its part to update the financial system?
We're doing a lot of things. First and foremost, Coinbase is supporting Stand with Crypto, which is a grassroots effort to encourage and draw into the conversation the millions of Americans who have already adopted crypto as part of their daily lives. We're trying to get and encourage people to share with their elected officials and representatives their views on what rules we want to have here in the US, and at a minimum to make it clear to elected officials that regular Americans expect there to be sensible rules adopted so that we see these millions of jobs take root here in the US and not just flow overseas.
Yeah, realistically, when do you think we'll see a constructive framework here?
I'm optimistic. As I mentioned, we have legislation now pending in the House of Representatives on both a market structure for digital assets as well as for stable coins, which I think everybody sees as the clearest and easiest to understand use case for crypto. Those bills are past committee. They are moving towards the House floor. I think with that legislation ultimately enacted, we're going to see a very different environment here in the United States for digital assets. In the meantime, there are court cases pending. Coinbase has one of them. We are very confident that courts looking at the law as it currently exists and looking at the record or lack of record that the SEC has assembled are going to continue to ask hard questions and impose real limits that are consistent with the Constitution and with the laws that Congress has passed.
All right, Paul, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.